Good morning, it's Marie. Time to sparkle and shine. And I'm coming in today to talk about victim and sometimes why we feel that situations are being piled against us, and we put a story on them that is totally out of proportion of whatever it is that's happening. I called to see my mum recently, bless her, she's 91, amazing woman. She is still driving, she flies around the place, loves her style, gets her hair done, and is independent, living on her own. But a few things had happened over the previous few days in that the bottom oven had gone, the light was flickering somewhere else, the shower wasn't working, and the light went out in the kettle. Now it was still working, the light went out in the kettle, and when I called to her, she was in a tailspin of all the things that were wrong in her life. And oh my God, we're cursed. Life happens, and each of these things on their own just wasn't an issue. But when you put them all together, she spun a story about how everything was going wrong in her life. And when she got into that story, she got into the feeling. And when she got into the feeling, then she was right there with it, where she felt that everything was going wrong in her life. And it wasn't. It was just a series of events that had happened that had, in her mind, linked them all together and became this worst case scenario. Now, we all do that in life. We all have things that happen to us that build up, and then it's like, oh my God, I'm a victim. A cone, poor me, my world as we know it, everything is against me. And it's why we need to be careful about getting into the drama, because it's very easy when these events and you link them together become a feeling in your body that just becomes all encompassing. And it is actually an easy thing to overcome and to deal with. And the thing about it is actually to deal with them one by one. And when you do that, you actually find that you don't get into the story. When you don't get into the story, you don't get into the feelings. And when you don't get into the feelings, then you can actually deal with it. The problem is when you get into the dealings then, or into the feelings, then basically it just colours your whole world. Our thoughts are hugely powerful. Life happens. Things sometimes don't work, and it's not personal, but we do take it. We put a story on it that makes it personal to us. And that's part of what it is that I work with when I'm working with women. The stories that we tell ourselves, that when we tell it, we get into the feeling. And when we get into the feeling, then, oh my God, it's all we can see, hear, feel, or sense. And it's very difficult to get ourselves out of that. So I use practical tips and sense what it is, that the story that you're telling yourself. Go a little bit more in depth as to why you're telling that story, and then it is what it is that you can actually do to change it. This is phenomenally powerful stuff. We as a human race are evolving and growing, and it's really important that we learn to take a step out of the dramas that are around us and nurture ourselves so that we're actually seeing life from a balanced point of view. And when you do that, basically your life becomes magical. The possibilities are endless. So instead of seeing all the negative things, you're actually seeing all the positive. So that's the thought for today. My poor mum, she did great. I did help her work through all the bits and pieces, and you have to acknowledge that you're feeling the way you're feeling. So often we're trying to suppress things, But when you look at it objectively, you can actually see what brought you to where you are now. And when you can do that, you can actually see what it is you can do to change. I'm Marie Nugent, and my business is called Time to Sparkle and Shine, and you can find me on www.timetosparkleandshine.ie. Till the next time.